Welcome, everyone, to the Walk with Faith podcast with our special guest, Sharon Hess. Hi, Sharon.
Hi, everybody.
Thank you so much for coming on. I'm really happy.
It's always a pleasure to talk about spiritual things.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. And
Yeah.
I feel like, well, and you have a lot of knowledge. You've been doing this for a long time.
Well, I've been on the earth for quite a while. So I like that's what I always tell people. I say, it's like I teach my students that, your purpose never changes, but the way you present it in the world does. And that's only natural because as you grow and expand, your soul came here to experience and grow and expand. So what you do is going to always grow and expand with you.
That's wonderful. So, what led you to your spiritual journey?
Okay, so I laugh. I love telling this story though because it's really pretty cool. So I worked for a commercial collection agency, and I was in sales, and I would call credit managers and get them to turn over their delinquent accounts for our collectors to try and collect. And I used to tell people, I say, commercial, I don't feel bad because it's like if you own a bridal shop and you bought all these gowns and you sold them to people, you
Right.
made money, you should pay the people that you bought the bridal gowns from, right? But I said if it was personal collections, they'd tell me sob stories and I would be, oh my God, let me bring you groceries, you know? So anyway, the owner of the agency, we were friends, and he came to me and he said, listen, a friend of mine's going to be out of town, and he asked me to facilitate his Course in Miracles class. And he said, would you come so that there's a familiar face in the room? So I said, oh, sure, I'll be happy to do that. Had no idea what it was. So I called my older brother, Ron. I call him a seeker because he was into Buddhism and he went to Dharma study and Quaker meetings and
Wow.
Methodist. He just went into all different kinds of spiritual realms. So I called him. I said, Ron, I said, I was asked to go to this um, class. It's a Course in Miracles. And I said, I don't know what it is. What do you know about it? And he said, I got the book when I was in college, and I've never done anything with it. I'll go with you. I said, okay, fine, great.
Awesome.
So when I opened the book, I sat there and I went, okay, wait a minute. I know this stuff. I didn't know other people knew this stuff. I thought I was, a lone man. I was the only one who believed in that kind of
Uh-huh.
stuff. And that started my spiritual journey. And it's interesting because one of my gifts is like it's written very Shakespeareanly. I don't even know if I said that properly, but it's written in a
I
very
understood you.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay. The word sometimes I make up words. But anyway, so
I do that.
my one of my greatest gifts is I can take that and I can explain it in very down to earth, relatable terms. And that was the beginning of my spiritual journey. And around that time, I actually um, became successful in sales because I went to work for someone that I met in a Course in Miracles group study. And yeah, and so it all kind of like rolled and meshed
Exactly.
together. And then it was interesting because I always put those two parts of Sharon separate. Okay. Business Sharon and spiritual Sharon, right? They were like separate things. And I realized later on in life that it was because there's no difference. It's the old saying, wherever you go, there you are. So it was very interesting to me on how your spiritual path and your business journey are really all one and the same.
Right. Right. So
Question.
that so you said you have students. This is something that you teach your students as well, how to integrate the spiritual life with the business side of things?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah. So uh, I just recently, the latest book I wrote was Soulful Success, Integrating Your Spiritual Wisdom into Your Business Journey. And it's about, because I wanted people to understand um, it's not separate. And your
Thank
success,
you.
if you're successful, always, and I've taught a Course in Miracles, by the way. I've facilitated a class, let's
That's
see, back
great.
in 92. So, and everything I do and teach and programs that I put together, that's like the foundation because it's a very solid foundation for me in understanding spiritual studies. And yeah, so but when I did, the first book I did was Spiritual Spice, and it's just basically sayings. Like if you have a question, you ask the question, and then you open the book and you receive your answer.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, it's
I
real, and
like
it's
that.
yeah, and to me it's magical because although I wrote it, I channeled most of it.
Right.
And also, my older brother, Ron, who's no longer with us, he was editor of this book. So I released it on the day I did his celebration of life after he passed away. And it was a Amazon #1 international bestseller and #1 new release.
Wow.
But I attribute that to doing it on the day that, it was on.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was
Honoring
honoring him.
him.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that was a
Exactly.
really cool thing.
That's very powerful.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna have to get your book. That's incredible.
Yeah.
And really intuitively, you ask a question and then energetically, me personally, I'd probably sense open it up to where my guides would tell me or my higher self would tell me where to open it up. It really is
Right.
magical, and you channeled the majority of everything that's in there.
Correct.
Wow.
I mean, most things I do, it's like, so I'm claircognizant, which is I just know things. And I never realized all my life. I mean, it was just me, it's just you. You are who you are. And so you don't think it's anything special or you think everybody else does and knows the same things. But I'll never forget, I was in a Course in Miracles group one time and they were talking about, so Course in Miracles teaches, and I'm led to share this,
Yeah,
that,
please.
God is just total unconditional love energy that extended itself and created all that is. And Course terminology, I love it. Couldn't say it any better. In a tiny mad instant, we took ourselves seriously and thought that we separated from God. And that's where our dual thought system comes
Right.
from. So we have our ego mind that thinks this is it. And we have our divine self that remembers our connection to the creator and all that is. Okay. So that's
Right.
Course in Miracles 101. I don't remember what I was saying before I went off in that direction.
No, this is
Might have
really
to reel
good.
me back in.
No, this is perfect. I think this is really important for people to hear. I think that's why
Yeah.
it's
Oh,
coming through. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So that's
I
let's see. I
think
was going to say something else about A Course in Miracles, and I can't remember what it was now. But what was I saying before I
that you were
went on?
clear cognizant, that you knew.
Oh, just knowing things. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's the same. It's the same thing like with that. It's like I said, I opened it, and it's like I know this. I don't know why I know it. I figured everybody else knew it, but then I didn't think anybody knew it. It's kind of like that
Right.
dichotomy of, yeah.
Right.
So yeah, but it's basically, so there are quotes from A Course in Miracles in here, of course. Um, and yeah, I did the book because my brother said, you really should do this. It's good information. And he was the editor. So he basically put it all together and put it into like different chapters for me.
That's
Uh,
fantastic.
yeah. So that was my first book that I ever released.
So, do you teach the Course in Miracles now, or how do people become involved in something like that?
Yeah, there's plenty of study groups for A Course in Miracles. Once in a while I'll do like a quick like 6-week program just to get people to understand it and be familiar with it. But it's not something it's not like a course, you just take this course and you're done. It's kind of like the Bible. You study it your whole life. Here, let me grab mine because it's sitting here by me
Right.
always. So that's what the book is. And you can see mine.
Wow. Yeah.
It's full of notes and highlights and
Right.
yeah, so it's just it's something you study. Um, it's just, it's a a guide for your spiritual journey, I guess is the best way to put it.
Okay. Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that because I think that's something that people may or may not be aware of that's going to be really helpful.
Right. If you're drawn to it, then yeah. And it's the way it's written is, by the way, I'll share that the author of the book claims to be the historical Jesus, which you don't have to believe that to get anything out of it. I'll never forget one of the teachers I went to.
Okay.
She was actually raised Jewish, and so she said whenever it talked about Jesus in the book, she would just switch it to Moses, and that made sense to her. And it's like in healing and learning, it's whatever works for you and whatever
Exactly.
resonates with you. But the beginning of the book is, chapters, and then there's 365 days of lessons
Wow.
uh, for a year. And then there's a manual for teachers in the back. But you got to realize we're all teachers, right? We're all teachers and we're all students. It's just sometimes we mess up the pecking order, right? But yeah, it's like this is just it's just something, like I said, you study it your whole life, and you as you learn and grow, just like I said, your whatever your purpose is will expand and grow. So will your understanding within the book. And it's also weaved throughout in many different levels of understanding. So something that you didn't get one time, you might go back and get the next. It's like that movie that you watch it over and over and over, and every
And you
time you
get new
watch it, you see
things.
something you didn't see before.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, so it's the same way with that.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So, what courses do you offer for students, or what practices do you have?
Okay, so what I do, so then what my practice morphed into. First, I was an intuitive money healer, which that's easy enough for me to do because it was just like jumping in the ego maze and running around and figuring out what the
I
disconnect
could
was
use
between,
assistance on that.
huh?
I could use your assistance on that.
Yeah, well, most people can. So then it morphed into I studied the Akashic records, and I love doing past life stories. And what I started doing though is I thought, this is great, to tell somebody who they were in a past life and what happened and what the choice and the consequence and what energy needs to shift. But mine worked into, I'll ask my guides, show me the story that will tell us what the person's soul is ready to heal in this moment. Because sometimes we recreate scenarios or we'll create it in a different way in the next lifetime if we didn't pay attention to the lesson in the first lifetime.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
So I love doing Akashic Record soul stories, and I'm really good at that. And then, lo and behold, I woke up one morning and I got this message to paint an angel. So I'm laughing. So I was like, okay, I don't know how to do that. I'm not an artist. And I was literally given an idea in my head of how to do the wings with the sponge and all that kind of stuff. So my other brother, boy, my brothers have really helped me, huh? I
I
just
think that's
realized that.
incredible.
Yeah, yeah, I know. He has a degree in fine arts. So I called him and I said, Gary, I need to paint this angel. I kind of sort of know what I need to do, but I need your help. So he helped me. And then that morphed into painting angels. And it's not like fine art, I wouldn't say. It's about the energetics within the angel. They all have their own specific energy. And then I discovered that if you take a picture of it and you enlarge the picture, there's little hidden images within.
What are you?
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's
Crazy.
amazing.
Yeah.
Where can
So
people find your artwork?
it's
Your
it's on my website, SharonHess.com.
Okay. I'm gonna
Everything I
check it
do is
out.
on my website right now, except I'm getting ready to launch a new 3-month one-on-one coaching program. And that's to go with the soulful success, because I thought about it and I thought, well, this is a really good, it'll follow along the book more or less. And it'll be a good guideline for people in business, if you're an entrepreneur. It's geared towards entrepreneurs, but if you're, leadership or, any other thing like that, it would help. There are things in there that would help you because you start with the basics, like what are your core values? And I talk a lot about mindfulness and energy work in the book. because the first book, Spiritual Spice, was totally land of woo,
Yeah.
totally geared. It's all, it's all spiritual language, but then not all business people, even spiritual business people, aren't versed in all these different terms and
That's
that we
true.
have in the
Yeah.
spiritual world, right? So I dumbed it down a little. I hate to say that, but I made it more palatable for business people who could understand mindfulness and energy, because most people do. And by the
Okay.
way, I am a Usui Reiki master, but I did that because I was always intrigued. I don't I know how to move energy and I know how to work with energy, and but I never had any formal like training with it. And then I thought, well, if I do that, it would make more sense, or it would sound better to say the energy angel was created by a Reiki master. So that's why I
Right.
did that.
Right.
Yeah, and it was really interesting. It was I mean, I knew most of the stuff that they teach in there, but it was interesting learning the different symbols that's used to move the energy.
So, can you explain to people that form of Reiki, where it comes from?
There was, and I'll probably butcher the story. You can Google it and look it up. People, please, if I'm wrong, don't shoot me. But anyway, it was from Japan, and he went into he was fasting, and I think it was when he was coming out of the fast that he was given all of these symbols, and it's not. I say all of these. There's only I forget how many, like eight, but it's about the specific symbol that moves the energy in a specific way. And now there's a
Okay.
lot of people who've come up with their own Reiki symbols and their own way of teaching and sharing Reiki in the world, but that was the original form of Reiki.
Okay.
And it's
With
okay that it morphed and people do it in different ways. It's kind of like that's what I did with the Akashic Records was, as you work with something, you will intuitively get, okay,
right.
this makes more sense. And this is what works best for the people that I'm here to serve.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. I think that's pretty amazing though that you have the you're a Reiki master, the original from Japan. I thought that was really fascinating because I wasn't even familiar, so I had to do just a
Right.
little bit of research, and I saw it. And my son actually wants to move to Japan, where
Ah,
he's got two of his spirit guides are Japanese. I don't know why I'm getting okay, that's the download I'm getting are like priestesses, but they have one of them has what are the swords? Uh,
um,
katana.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, he even was able to visualize it, and he has them framed. So he can. It reminds him of him. But yeah, I thought that was pretty interesting, and he thought it was as well. So, but so the course that you're going to be doing for people, they can do that on your website. Your new course that's coming out, or
No, what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to do one-on-one coaching. And there's a reason why,
oh
because
yeah,
um, it's not a cookie cutter approach. I mean, I can create a course. I have one that's being uploaded right now. It's called The Soul of Sales, and it's a spiritual sales process that you need know and understand for sales. But with the one-on-one coaching, I find it's more impactful because I can follow the guidance, my guides, their guides, to shift and morph into what it is they need to work
right.
on at that moment. Being an entrepreneur is like being a ninja, right?
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah. So you might, I mean, one week you might need to work on, I don't know, forgiveness, and the next week you might need to work on your marketing plan. So you have to be able to go where you need to go in that moment.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But now I'm going to
Um,
do that. If anybody's interested, just send me an email, Sharon@SharonHess.com, and I'll set up a phone call and we'll do an interview, because I won't do it if it's somebody that I can't help. I'm not in, I don't want to do that. I don't just like take people's money because they think, oh, that'd be a good thing to spend money on, right? It's like, source sends me the ones that I can help. And I can pretty much tell when I speak with someone if it's a match or not.
Exactly. Okay.
Yeah.
So, can you talk more about the Akashic records and what you do and past life regression? How if somebody wanted to come and get assistance from you?
Okay, so I don't do past life regression. Regression
Oh,
is when a person like does hypnosis with you
that's
and
this.
brings you
Okay.
into a past life. No, that's fine. Um,
Okay.
as a matter of fact, the first I'm laughing because I'll never forget this. I was a manager for a comedy club in the office, and the woman who managed the bar part, she came to me one day and she said, "I'm taking a hypnosis class, and I need practice clients. Would you be interested?" And I was open minded. I was like, "Oh, sure, I'll do that." So I'll never forget. She hypnotized me, and I didn't believe I was hypnotized because I
Okay.
didn't feel any different, right? And until she regressed me to birth, and all of a sudden, I was like freezing cold and I started bawling like a
Like a
newborn baby.
baby.
It was
Yeah.
pretty awesome. And then I remember it was like kind of like watching a movie screen. And I saw a pansy. She says, "What do you see?" And I said, "I see a pansy." And I'll never forget this. She laughed and she goes, "Are you the pansy?"
Oh my gosh, that's cute.
And I was like, no. And what it was I was walking along a street and I saw the pansy, and it was like the camera panned back and showed my feet walking on the street, and it was on the
Wow.
side of the
Yeah.
street. It was pretty
Yeah.
interesting. But what I do is I get the information from the person that I need, and then I sit and I go into the records with my Akashic record guides, and I'll say, "Show me the story." And then I start seeing it, and I start writing it. And then, so then when I connect with the person, I already have the hours spent giving them the information. Okay.
Okay.
And I also look at the soul matrix, and every soul is created that there's a certain way it likes to create abundance in this world. And so I look at what are the gifts and also the shadow side of that person's makeup to where they can create most abundance and happiness in this life. And I am compelled to say this right now. So I teach, we're all here to experience peace, love, joy, and abundance. And if you can understand any one of those, the rest of them all fall in line. In other words, if you can understand peace and coming to peace, then
Right.
you will also experience, right,
Right.
the love, joy, and abundance.
Right.
And if you can understand the joy, then you will also automatically receive and understand
Right.
the love and abundance. So they all go together once
Yeah.
you kind of nail one of them.
Mm-hmm. So if you could give guidance to anyone of, I know everyone has their own journey, but if you could give them any advice, what do you think they should aim for? Peace, love, happiness.
Peace, I have to keep going. Peace, because when and I have a sign on my wall, it says your life becomes a masterpiece when you learn to master peace.
I love it.
Isn't that great?
I
And
love
that's what
it.
the Course in Miracles is all about. It's all about teaching you how to stay in peace in your life. The world
Thank
happens.
you.
It's not what happens to you, it's how you respond to it. And even though, and we don't know, we just make up all these stories in our head how things are terrible and whatever, and we really don't know. If we would just trust that there's this universal wisdom that knows way better than we do,
Right.
then we could remain in peace. It's like, and you probably heard the saying, and people don't attribute it to where it originally came from, was A Course in Miracles. Would you rather be right or happy?
Happy.
So, yeah, exactly.
I just want to be
Exactly.
happy. Yeah.
Exactly. So
Peaceful.
yeah, so that's it. And that's all about staying peace within your heart and realizing what is important, what's not important, and what goes with you when you leave here. And it's going to be your
Absolutely.
acts of love. It's not going to be any of the things that we think. I'm laughing. When I did intuitive money healer, always I said, you never see a U-Haul following a hearse. so your stuff
Right.
doesn't go with you,
That's so true.
right?
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think that's something that people are slowly learning. Uh,
yeah.
yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
that's what there's a lot of that in here.
And the soulful success.
Yeah, that's, that's the book, by the way, and
Integrating
it's
spiritual
available on
wisdom with
Amazon. He
wisdom.
just
That's
released it. You can
beautiful.
download the Kindle for it's 99 cents right now, so it's quite a
Fantastic.
bargain. But if you like to hold it in hand, which I like holding books in hand, it's only 12.99. And there's exercises in here. But what I was going to say is it's all about understanding that it's not just your bottom line. Okay,
Right.
you can have your bottom line and happiness together.
Right.
And that was why I was compelled to do this, because working with people all these years, they struggle with, how do I blend these two, right? You have to be a business. If you're in business, if you're a spiritual entrepreneur or solopreneur, you're in business. And it's like, so you have to understand, how do I do my business strategies and bring my spiritual understanding and journey into that with me?
Right. I think what I've seen is people having a hard time integrating. Okay, so like for instance, you have somebody who is has a spiritual business, but they don't want to charge, or they get negative pushback because they're charging because they do spiritual work or they're creating. So I think that is something that people are learning to integrate too, is having a spiritual business and not being shamed for charging for the spiritual
There's
business.
nothing spiritual about not being able to pay your light bill,
Thank you.
right?
Exactly.
Amen.
Exactly.
And you know what? If you do healing work or any kind of spiritual work, you change lives. What is that worth? That's priceless. So
Right.
why would you not? Why would God, universe, whatever you believe in, think, oh well, you go do this and you do this work, but you don't get to eat. You got to live in your
Right.
car.
You
You
don't.
know,
Yeah.
no, it's not. It's
Right.
there's this disconnect, but
That's what I feel like. Yeah.
our ego creates it, and our ego creates that to keep us stuck and not doing our divine purpose. One of the things I teach that people really have a hard time grasping at first is discipline is divine. Okay. But no, I'm spiritual. It's organic. It just, but hey, wait a minute. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not doing what you need to do for people to find you, then they're not going to find you. And
Right.
that's your ego not wanting you to be found. Did
Right.
that make sense? Like it
It
kind
did
of,
make sense.
okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm
Sometimes when
just,
I'm downloading it, I'm like, I don't know if that made any
no,
sense or
it
not.
completely made sense.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So discipline is divine, definitely.
I agree with
And
that completely. I think that goes
yeah,
in all avenues, being disciplined in your spiritual practices, your spiritual hygiene, everything, your how you're assisting people. You're right, getting yourself out there. It really is being. So I'm getting diligent and disciplined.
yeah,
Right.
right.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. And so here, the diligent part is okay. So, of course, in miracles teaches that when you're the miracle, by the way, is when you catch yourself in ego mind and you shift back over into your divine self. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you catch yourself, that it's just, and you
Right.
can tell when you're an ego. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it's a little
Right.
bit, ego is a little bit different for spiritual people than people who think of Freudian ego, but yeah, I'm sure your audience would understand what I mean by that.
Right.
But yeah, so it's about catching yourself, and it's going to happen because as long as you're in a body, you're going to have an ego, and
Right.
there's nothing wrong with that.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to remember the ego is a wonderful servant, but a terrible master.
I like that. I love
Yeah,
that. Thank you, Sharon.
yeah.
So, can I ask you What are some of the most difficult challenges you've had to overcome, and how has it assisted you on your journey?
Oh, well, I mean, it's being an entrepreneur, I've gone through the gambit, imposter syndrome. What do I charge? Why do I charge? How can I charge? Oh my God, they're not buying it. Let me charge less. And and I have to say this, and I'll probably get a lot of maybe or some flack from people, but when people say love donation, pay me what you want, I don't think that's right, because you're saying, you tell me what you think I'm worth.
I'm worth, oh
Instead,
my gosh, Sharon. Right.
yeah, instead of this is what I'm worth, and if you're willing, if you want this exchange, then we'll do it, and if not, hey, it's okay.
So, can you explain to people how that shifts things in your reality? I mean, in your life, when you're putting out there, okay, instead of leaving it in another person's hands to tell them what you're worth, right? Because on an energetic level, what you're putting out to the universe or within, rather than claiming what you're worth, saying, this is what I'm worth. This is my energy, this is what I contribute, and if you want to do it, let's do it. How does that shift things in somebody's life when you take that power, or you
The
take
person,
that?
the person that's putting themselves out there, or the person
Right,
receiving.
right. How does,
Okay,
yeah,
well, so think about this way. Okay, so the person receiving it, if you're saying, tell me what I'm worth, the person receiving is going to sit there and go, well, you might be worth, $900, but I'm going to see if I can get away with paying you 20.
right,
I mean, it's just, yeah, because it's like they're energetic. I just got the download. So
right.
it's just like, how children like routine and discipline?
Mm-hmm.
Why do they like routine and discipline? Because they know what to expect. So the same thing. Your clients want to know what to expect.
Right.
So, but I struggled with that. I really did in the beginning. I had, and it's like, who am I to say this? And oh my God, maybe I shouldn't be doing this, or,
Right.
I'll share this story with you. Okay. So, Course in Miracles teaches there is no order of difficulty in miracles. One is neither larger or smaller, and I'm paraphrasing there, but it's the same thing. If you've heard the saying, it's as easy to create a castle as it is to create a button.
I have never heard that before.
Oh, you haven't? Okay.
It's a first for me.
But there is that saying. And what that means, it's like if you're creating here in the illusionary world that we live in, that's hard to understand too, because it's like, well, I see this, I feel this, I'm experiencing this. What do you mean it's an illusion? And that just means that our dream, that we're thinking we're separated from God and everyone else. Okay. But I did a session one day, and the woman and this was when I was just doing money healing, and she came up that her father had abused her. And I said, oh my God. I said, oh, I'm so sorry. I said, I'm sure you've gone through years of therapy because of that. She said, no, you're the first person I ever told.
Wow.
And so I was like, okay. So, and we did healing and energy work around it,
Yeah.
whatever.
That's
But
great.
that evening I was in the car, and I remember my husband was driving, and we were driving across the desert. I live in Arizona, so there's a lot of open land, which I love because energy just, there are a lot of places to go.
Right.
But I remember thinking, I shouldn't be doing this. Okay. I'm not trained. I'm not trained.
Right. I'm not
Imposter
trained.
syndrome,
Yeah,
right? I'm not
exactly.
trained to do this.
Yeah.
But anyway, and my guides told me, okay, remember the woman you did before that who was devastated. Her, whatever she latched onto was because her father had bought her sister a poster and didn't buy her one. Okay. And I said, yeah, I remember that. And it was like, what is the difference? If the person is devastated, what is the difference?
Right.
There is none.
Right. Right. Wow.
So we label things good, bad, and different, and one of the big things I teach too is things just are not either or. There's always the and. Find the and. If you're stuck in it's either this or it's that, There's always an and.
Okay. Okay, that's great. Thank you. Um, so, can you explain to people a little bit more about the clairs? Do you ever teach anybody about their gifts? Clair audience, clair
Well, no,
voyant.
the gifts that I go into are a little different than that. You know, clairaudient, from what I understand, is you hear a thing. Claircognizant is you know things. Clairsentient is you feel things. Um, what other ones are there? Help me here,
Clairvoyance,
Molly.
clairvoyance. Did we already say
Yeah,
that? Help me here, Molly.
yeah, yeah. So it's so
Clairsentient,
that's how
clairvoyant,
you
claircognizant,
receive. That's how you
clairsentient.
receive universal information because we're all psychic. It's just we have to
Right.
um, build that muscle, right? And the way you build that muscle is by trusting and using and giving. But then there's other, like what I look at in the soul matrix is other types of gifts. Like, is your soul about divine communication? Do you love, are words your thing? Do you have like a taste and a feel? Or, like, are you divine healing? It's like, being a healer is not something you do, it's actually who you are, right? And what a healer really does is you don't fix anything because there's nothing to be fixed. Um, we hold the space for someone, we hold the remembrance of your connection to
To
the
source.
creator where you forgot.
Right.
So yeah, so that's the kind of gifts I look at more so than how you receive the information. If you don't know, you probably need to, um, I would just sit and write out experiences that you've had that were profound for you and think through, where did that come from? Did I think it? Did I see it? Did I feel it? Did I, I would go at it that way.
Wow. Thank you, Sharon. I think that's going to be helpful because I received that message. That had to be for somebody that's going to watch this.
Exactly. We never know. So
We never know where it comes from. It's coming
we
from
just hold the
somewhere.
sign, water here.
Yeah, exactly. That message had to come out.
Yeah.
Um, so, I'm really interested about. I'm getting an image about your angel art, and then the images that come through when you expand it. How do you think that happened? Through the energy? Is it? Does it have to do? Do you feel like it has to do with the Reiki that
Okay.
you've practiced, or is
Yeah.
it?
So when I sit and paint, I just totally let go. And if I just allow whatever happens to happen. And after I paint an angel, it's funny because I'll lay them on my dining room table that I walk past all the time. And sometimes I'll walk by and the angels, they don't really, okay, I hate saying they talk to me, but
No,
I
I
don't,
get
I
that.
don't hear voices. I just have, people love this when I say, they go, oh, that's what it is. It's a thought foreign to my own
Right.
that I know it's not my logical brain. But anyway, so I'll get a message, okay, I'm done. Or I'll get a message, oh, I want my wing bigger. Or, oh, I want, this done or that done.
Exactly. Exactly. It's not that. Thank you so much because it's not that you hear voices. I don't hear voices, but it's like messages. They're like, um, I want this right now, or I think that you need to do this right now. You need to cleanse this, or you go do that. And like today I had my where I pray, and I was called to go in there because they needed me to clean my glasses in there and give fresh flowers. It like they just gave me an image of the flowers. I go in and the flowers were no good. So it's almost like these like the wing needs to be bigger.
Yeah,
I need I
it's a
need
thought foreign
flowers.
to your own. It's not your
Exactly.
logical mind. And you know it's not you.
Right.
You know it's not you.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah,
I love how you put that.
yeah.
Cuz yeah, that's important for people to know. Um So you were originally talking about, or when we first started talking, you were talking about your job originally and how it led you to your spiritual path.
Hmm.
Um, so how exactly did you transition from that career to taking that leap of faith into just your.
Well, I didn't have, if you don't do it, the universe makes it where you don't have a choice.
Thank you. Okay, that's true.
That's another thing I teach. If you don't pay attention to the nudges, you will get a 2x4. It just happens. All
That's
right.
that's actually, yeah, that's something very important for people to understand, is to listen to those nudges. Listen to
Right. And yeah, and act upon the nudges so you don't wait until it um
the two
it's,
by.
but a lot of times, how many people do you know? As a matter of fact, I had this conversation with somebody yesterday. I said, unfortunately, a lot of people do not embrace their spirituality until they're in the depths of despair and they don't have a choice.
I
Right.
was one
And
of
it,
them.
yeah, well, it's much harder. So let's say this is your here, this is your like an even, and you want to go here, spiritually, right? But if you're here and you don't start your spiritual journey from here to rise, then if you're here, that's a much longer journey. It could be a lot easier if you
Right.
do it from when you're in an even space than when you're in depths of despair.
Right.
But sometimes it has to happen to get your attention.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's why it's so important to listen. Listen to that guidance, listen to the nudges. So I love the 2x4. Did you say 2x4? You did.
Yeah, if you don't pay attention to the nudges,
That's
you get
true.
smacked with a 2x4.
That is so true. And
And
you can't
sometimes
avoid
I wait for the 2x4. I'm human.
it. You're so funny. Yeah, I think
Now, yeah, I use humor in my work in case you can't tell.
I think you're fantastic. I
Thank
think you're
you.
wonderful. I'm gonna go on your website and check out what you have going on. Um, I have done past life regression, but I have not had anybody assist me with my Akashic records. Maybe some guidance, because
So for
I
you or
would.
anybody on here, I'll just put this out there. So just if you're interested, send me an email. Sorry, I got Slim. Somebody's clearing something. That always happens when somebody's clearing. Does that ever happen to you?
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
So whoever's going to be watching this is clearing.
Yep.
So, because this is eternal time. Anyway, you or anyone else, just let me know that you came from Molly. Email me Sharon@SharonHess.com, and I'll give you $100 off.
That's so nice. Thank you,
Yeah,
Sharon. Yeah.
you're welcome.
And I'll make sure to post all your links and everything so people
Okay.
can find you. Um, can I ask you about Find Magic People? How long you've known Derek? How
So
long
I
you've been?
started on. This is interesting too, because I love Derek, the owner of Fly Magic People. He's just such a wonderful,
He is.
soft soul.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I get emails all the time, constantly, particularly from LinkedIn, wanting to sell me something or talk to me or let's schedule a call. And so I delete a lot of them. But for some reason, I don't remember why, but I booked a call with Derek. And I told him that when I talked to him. I was led to speak with you.
Right.
So that's why I called you and did this. And I think it's a wonderful idea, and everyone should embrace it. The idea of having a spiritual community that's all about finding the light within.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it's fantastic. Derek is one of the nicest individuals. Yeah, you're right, a soft soul, a very gentle soul. We had a great interview, but he's very thoughtful, and I love that he's trying to bring the community together, make it so people can find everyone too. So
Right.
they can intuitively find individuals that resonate with them, so they can, yeah, go towards the light, find the light, do the healing work, or whatever find the guidance that they need. I think it's
Right.
been.
Now, what if you said that about do the healing work? I'd like to address that for a minute. Something I found is a lot of people are afraid, and I literally had people you could tell they had like fear in their eyes when you said something about, oh, let me look at your past life and whatever, and they're like, no, I don't want to do that.
Right.
And the commercial that they have at Zycam where you have the snot monster, chasing the woman down the street, you know?
No,
Yeah, there's a commercial. It's basically it's you see the visual, right? This
I
monster
can see it.
chasing them,
I can see.
and that's what a lot of people fear that when they go in to do healing work, they're going to find that they're this monster, or the monster's chasing them. And it's nothing could be further from the truth.
Right.
People don't understand because we're not taught that our true self, the true essence of who we are, is unconditional love energy. And so healing is just about, it's not that you need to fix something because you're not broken, but it's about removing those blocks
Right.
that you put between you and your divinity, not anyone else. You get to choose how you discern things in your mind. So,
Right.
so yeah, healing is not anything to be fearful of.
No, it
I don't know
just
if you ever run into that, but I have.
I have people who have not just about going peeling off those layers or going tapping into their past, but also wanting to know their future. Like they don't want to know what's going to happen. But also, yes, doing the work. I feel like it's something really beautiful. Peeling back those layers are not always fun because we have to go inward and go deep and see things sometimes that we've buried, right? But
Right.
but
Well, we don't want to let go of the things we created. And
right.
I'll tell you my poop analogy. I'll laugh, but this is so perfect. People will understand. So we create a pile of poop, okay? And we look at it, we go, oh my God, that turned out to be a pile of poop. And then you go, but I put so much effort into it. All right. I mean, that took a lot for me to do that. And this could be a program, it could be in business, or it could be a relationship, it could be anything. And so you look at this pile of poo and you go, okay, I know what I'll do. I'll throw some glitter on it. And then you go, doesn't look like poop anymore. It's nice and sparkly. And then you go, oh, but it still smells like poop. So you stick a flower in the center. You go, oh, it's good to go. It looks good. It smells good. And then someone else walks in the room and goes, why do you have a pile of poop with glitter and a flower? But you don't see it anymore as a pile of poop because you made it pretty.
Right. Right.
And that's why you need people to help you find it, because you become invested in your stuff.
Yeah.
And I said that because I was thinking about peeling away the layers. It's not hard if you allow it. Mm-hmm. And you think, okay, I want to know. It's just a pile of poop. I'll flush it. I don't need to keep it. Right.
Right. Right. I think the healing journey, when people don't fight it, like you're saying.
So sorry.
Oh, it's okay.
I thought I turned it off. Power off, power off, power off. Power off. Okay. Power off.
No, I think the healing journey is actually very empowering. It's very exciting. It takes work, but it's worth doing. And figuring out or remembering who you really are at the core. Coming into union, I say like coming into union with the self and with the creator, our creator, source. Right. I think that's for me personally where I found where I found peace was through the period of time of my darkest moments, but going through that healing and figuring out, okay, we really are love. This is who I say he, the Most High. I know we talked about that. I can say God. He loves me so much because in the times of where things were really dark, that's where I found the love, was in my healing journey. But I had to be hit with a 2x4. Many of them.
Right. But, well, dark nights, you don't have one dark night of the soul, I don't think. I think
right.
It's when as you continue, as you go deeper. And it's really, you're releasing stuff that you created, right, that the creator didn't create, right? You created it.
Right.
And so you are invested in it. You are right. Invested.
I love what you just said. That's taking accountability. Now we're going back to accountability, right? For the things, the choices
Right.
that we have of what we've created, and then clearing that out to get back to the pure source of who we are, the divinity of
Right.
who we are. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're all mind, body, soul. And your life here in this here now time space reality, this 3D world we're in, it works when you have all of them in harmony. Okay.
Okay.
And most people, a lot of people will work on the mind part, the body part, they forget about the soul.
The soul for me is the most important. I'm still working on the 3D. I feel like I'm here, but I'm not here. I try and ground myself as much as I can, at least getting outside or getting in the sunshine, walking the dog, or my puppy Moon. But
That's funny because I talk about that in here
do you?
about with the mindfulness. Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like, you can be so heavenly, you do no earthly good. So
Yeah. Right.
it's fun to float on the ceiling, but
I know we
you
got to
can't
ground
stay
ourselves.
there.
I know.
Huh?
I know. I feel like I was so much in the 3D and then so much, I love what you said, heavenly, and now there's that balance. Do you feel like that is part of the journey as well, where you're so in the 3D matrix and then you get to a point where you're so heavenly and then you finally find that balance
Oh, you
of
mean
where,
like swinging the pendulum all the way to one side? It depends. I mean, that depends on who you are and how you relate in this world.
okay.
Because yeah, and some people can do it like that. It's nothing. It's easy. And there are some people who it's just their second nature, and then there are some people who just resist it and fight so much that they're going to create a lot of static energy
Aha.
before they relax into allowing. The biggest thing message I ever got was allowing. Just
Yeah.
allow. If you learn
Right.
to allow, then things work out.
Right.
But we want to write the script, and we do write our own script, but we don't write everybody else's.
Exactly. Right.
I look at it as, you can look at the universe as a big tapestry, right? And every one of us is a thread within that tapestry, right?
Right.
But the picture always changes.
I love that.
It's always moving and shifting and changing. So your thread moves and shifts and changes. And,
And
yeah.
it should, right? It should always be flowing and changing. We don't want to stay stagnant. So keep writing our
Yeah.
story or painting and creating, but flowing.
But it's the hardest thing for us to do.
I know.
Is to just let go and allow and trust.
Do you have any advice or tips for anybody who's struggling with that right now?
Yeah, one of the greatest things I ever saw. So, like I said, I'm human, and I never get and they say if you're not working the course, if you never feel like flushing it down the toilet, you're not working it, right? But I remember when my mom died, I was so devastated that I was like, I'm gonna curse. Okay, fuck this. I don't care about this. None of this. Why? I mean, why do I do all this shit? I just feel horrible. Fuck it. So, I mean, I was just like, ugh. And I was watching TV one day, and that was before we had guides, and you had to channel surf, like keep changing channels. So you
Okay.
saw something you wanted to stop on. And I was channel surfing, and there was a preacher, one of these TV preachers. I don't even know who he was, but he was holding the Bible, and he said, "Nowhere in this Bible does it say you have to know everything."
Right.
And I stopped and I went, "What's it?" And then they said, "God will reveal to you what you need to know when you need to know it."
Love it.
And I add a caveat onto that since I've started working with so many people, and that is when you need to know it, but also when you're ready to accept it.
There we go. I love it. I love it. That's
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
Yeah. Because
So,
yeah.
that was my healing moment. That's why I remember that moment because I was so I was pissed at God. And then the next thought that I had, I'll share this, was that, okay, so God created my mother, God created me, and God gave me my mother. So how can I be mad at him for taking her home?
Wow. You're
It
right.
was a reframing. It was a total reframing
You're
by
right.
that preacher saying God will reveal to you what you need to know when you need to know it. But I love the part, nowhere in the Bible does it say you have to know everything.
And that's true.
Thank
Exactly.
goodness.
Yeah,
Boy,
exactly.
did you take the pressure off?
It took that, yeah, that was relief off the shoulders. I know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. But we think we have to know everything. We think we have to control everything. And the longer you're on your spiritual journey, the more you will realize you aren't in control of anything except your responses.
Oh, absolutely. That is, yes. I'm all yes. I had to learn that so many times. Yeah, I had to be smacked around a lot.
They
And
keep coming
really,
around, and like I
yeah.
said, we don't heal. It's not one and done when it comes to
No.
healing. But that's because of the world that we live in, the world that we created, and the
Yeah.
belief in that separateness. That's why we have to keep having experiences to bring us back home to our
Right.
creator. Oh,
Right.
so
Aw. Thank you, Sharon. So, is there anything else you want to share with people? Anything else that you think would be good guidance for them right now? Helpful? I know there's a lot of shifts going on. People are feeling a lot. There's a lot of going on. A lot, if I can talk. Wow, that.
God grant me the serenity to accept the things I
That
cannot
cannot
change,
change.
other people, the courage to change the things that I can myself,
Self.
and the
Wow.
wisdom to know the difference.
I love that. Amen. Thank you,
Yeah,
Sharon.
yeah. So that's it. And yeah, I'd say there's a lot of chaos in the
Wow.
world right now, but it's not, you're going to have chaos. Um, it's a matter of how you maneuver through it.
Right.
And that's by remembering who and what you truly are, and letting go of control and allowing your divine self to guide you through it,
Okay.
instead of thinking you're going to, I got to do this by myself. I got to do this all by myself.
Yeah. We're never by
you
ourselves.
know,
We have God with us all the time. He's flowing right
yeah.
through us.
Just because you forget him, her, whatever you believe,
Everything.
doesn't mean him,
Yep.
her forgot you.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And I always try to remind people, and they have to be ready to hear it. But I still am always guided to say it, that they are loved. I mean, really, our true core is love. That is the
Right. Your total
creator.
unconditional love energy. That's
Mm-hmm.
all you want.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
thank you, Sharon. So, do you want to share your information with people? Share your.
Sharon, it took me so long to get this, figure out a good name. No, SharonHess.com. But you can also email me if anyone wants to have a conversation. I won't charge you for a conversation. Just send me an email, Sharon@SharonHess.com. Because sometimes people are confused and they just don't know what they want, or, whatever. And, that's what I'm here for. It's what I do. So,
Right. So they can contact you if they're not quite sure about what they want, and then you can kind of narrow it down with them or own in to. Okay.
exactly. And if I can't help you, I will tell you.
Mm-hmm.
And I may know somebody else who can.
Okay.
I know a lot of other people in a lot of different modalities and healing modalities. And yeah, so
I can't wait to check out your website. I am so excited to see your artwork, the different uh, programs or classes or everything that you
I don't have
offer.
any programs on there right
Well,
now. They're
well,
coming.
everything that you
They're coming
offer,
soon.
everything.
But
Yeah,
I
I'm
would highly
excited.
recommend, if you're an entrepreneur, to get my latest one, Soulful Success. And for anybody, definitely get Spiritual Spice. This is something you want to have in your library when you're struggling. You can just open it up, and as a matter of fact, I'll do that for you right now.
Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, thank you.
This is interesting. So this is the chapter Giving and Receiving.
Okay.
And I'm laughing. It says your gifts are meant to be shared with the world. It's not a gift until you give it.
Thank you.
And that doesn't mean you can't charge for it. Don't let your ego tell you that.
Thank you, Sharon. I'm working. I'm getting better. I'm getting better
Yeah.
with it.
Well, it's hard. But I think part of that too, I've thought about that long and hard. Why would it be that way? But there were so many, think about the spiritual leaders of the past. Like think about the Church of England and how they took that power and became, they tainted it, for lack of a better word. They tainted spirituality by letting their egoic person mind want power because
Right.
of it. And so I think that energy has, somewhat followed us all forward to where those of us who are spiritual teachers, we struggle, we still have that a little bit of that energy that we have to say, no, that was then, this is now.
Now.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And
And it's
you're
kind of
right.
interesting. Yeah. So, like I say, if you look at like in my horoscope, my hand analysis, my human design, my numerology, everything that I've ever done, bottom line says you're a spiritual teacher. So
Yeah.
they
Well,
all connect.
yeah, exactly. And I like what you said. We kind of need to be able to pay our, what did you say, light bill or pay something, not live in our car. So we have to let the past go, not get in our ego mind, and get out there. And I think that book is really fantastic. I'll probably get that book for myself to help me step into that more.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting, but we are challenged as spiritual people. It's like so, and there's a misbelief. Go on my website at the bottom. There's a free. Um, I don't even have it attached to an email now, so don't worry about it. But it'll take you to the download. It's um, heal your money wounds.
Yeah, that was something Derek and I were discussing. He's like, "What?" He was helping me break that down, and it is. It's like a wound. I feel
Yeah,
like it's traumas, it's wounds from the past. So that's something I'm working on. Yeah,
it's
thank
our
you. That's
mindset. It's what it's what we tell ourselves and what we believe. Now, remember this: a belief can be changed.
mm-hmm.
But it doesn't matter if it's true or not. If you believe it, it's true for you.
Thank
Just,
you.
yeah, treat the subjective. Wisdom is not universal wisdom, universal laws. You can't change that. But if it can be challenged and changed, it's just the belief that you bought.
Thank you, Sharon.
You're welcome.
You're very wise, very smart. Wow. Thank you.
You're
Um,
welcome.
all right. Is there anything else that you would like to share with the viewers before we um, say
Before we
goodbye till
close,
next? Before we say goodbye till next time. Not goodbye. Next time.
till next time. So my favorite saying from A Course in Miracles is teach only love because that is what you truly are.
You're incredible. You are incredible. I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Wow. What a blessing. It's what people need to hear. Absolutely. Thank you. All
All
right.
right, everybody. Thanks for your
Thank
time.
you so
Mwah.
much. We love you. Sending you so much love, and we pray that you're always surrounded by the Most High God's love, protection, and blessings. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.